Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 6. Now, this particular model that Lenovo sent over for review retails for over $4,000 US. In fact, right around 4,500. And if you're wondering why it's so expensive, well, you're about to find out. For those of you that follow my channel, you already know that I love Lenovo's ThinkPad P16, arguably one of the best workstations on the market. Well, this is essentially the thin and light sibling of that machine. So if you're looking for something, it's not half the weight, but certainly does shave off several pounds. And while it doesn't have as much performance, it is, or at least it seems to be, very close. So what are you getting in this P1 Gen 6? Well, first and foremost, an Intel 13th Gen i7 processor. That's the 13800H. You have 32 gigs of RAM, a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Of course, all the latest and greatest when it comes to pretty much everything under the sun. But then we also have an RTX 4080. Now, keep in mind, that's not a full power 4080. It's essentially 80 watts plus a 25 watt dynamic boost, but that's still really intriguing for a machine like this that, need I remind all of you, is a ThinkPad. Then in addition to that, we've got what should be a gorgeous display to enjoy everything on, because it's got a 16-inch, 16 by 10 aspect ratio, 4K plus resolution OLED with touchscreen capability. So this machine literally checks just about every box that I would personally ever want checked. And yes, it's expensive, but it's not designed for regular consumers. After all, it carries a vPro certification. It's really aimed at enterprise use, corporations, and, well, it's understandable with its nearly $4,500 price point. So let me get this out of the box. Another thing to point out is that this weighs under 4 pounds, which is why I was saying it is the thin and light version of the P16. It also comes with a 3-year warranty, and I think you've got enough info in order for me to start to show this to all of you. So, what more could you ask from a machine like this based on what I just read in specifications? Well, there is an i9 version, if that's what you were going to say, and that does have more RAM as well, but it's also more expensive, and that also has an RTX 4090. I believe that on RAM you can spec this out up to 96 gigs, but it may be higher. I'll be sure to update that in my full review. But again, for today's purposes, we're just doing an unboxing and getting a first look at what I think is going to be a very popular machine with many of you. So, paperwork aside, let's go ahead and unwrap this and take a look at this laptop, because when I saw the specifications for it, I was, well, excited to say the least. And that's because, again, if you know how much I like the P16, then you know that this, with all of its specifications, lighter weight, and still having, of course, a 4080, along with a touchscreen OLED, that beyond 4K res, because of the aspect ratio, well, that's what it's all about. So I'm not even going to take this out, but it comes with Lenovo's pretty much standard 230 watt power brick. And, I wish this was smaller, but it's not. But that's not going to deter me from being excited about this, because, again, what you're about to see is pretty much unmatched in terms of form factor, specs. So it really does promise to deliver something that you're not going to get anywhere else. So you can see the finish on the lid, carbon fiber, at least looking, which I'm also a fan of. So Lenovo, yet again, has my attention. Let me get this stuff out of the way. And it's going to be interesting to pit this against, I don't want to say gaming machines, because remember, this is not a full 170 watt power going to that GPU. We also have to take into account what the cooling situation is going to be like, because I haven't opened this up, nor have I gotten a preview of the internals. But what I can tell you is that this looks like a traditional ThinkPad with, of course, some new flair, because it's not as traditional as you may have expected. But you would never think that this thing is sporting all of the specifications that I've mentioned. So first and foremost, we've got a Kensington lock right there at the back right side of the machine. Two Type A ports that I believe both of which are USB 3.2 Gen 2. Full-size SD card slot, which is UHS 2 to my knowledge. And then on the other side, we have, of course, the power port along with two Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI 2.1, and your headphone microphone combo jack. Nothing on the back of this machine. Whether or not that's something that you're going to prefer, that all the I/O is on the left and right side, is really a matter of personal preference. But what I can tell you is that it is amazing what this has under the hood, and that's something that I'm just continuing to be enamored with. You can see the cooling solution, at least through the grates here on the bottom. It's going to be interesting to see how hot this gets, and you know, from an upgradability standpoint, I believe we do have a second NVMe slot, and you know, we'll see as I dive deeper into this. Now, of course, we have the, I would say, heralded ThinkPad keyboard. Seems like solid travel to me. So it's checking those boxes. No numerical keypad, of course. I thought that was some dust, but you know, someone has reviewed this or gotten to it before me, as you may have noticed. And we have a, I would say, a very generous touchpad here, trackpad for pointing. And then, of course, we've got the good old school nub, if you will, so that you can still work independent of this in the event, of course, you just feel inclined. We have a full HD webcam at the top. I believe it does support Windows Hello. It is an IR cam. Let's see if this powers on, since it has actually been charged and set up already. Hopefully it does. And yeah, this is the type of machine, by the way, not a matte finish here. I'm not sure if we do have a privacy display. Let's see right now. No, we don't. So they went with a gloss finish, which is interesting. And I will give you a different angle on this, don't worry. But again, speakers right here, it's just amazing what Lenovo crammed into this thing. I mean, it is an ideal travel machine for so many different users. Of course, its price makes it a little bit of a different negotiation. Trying to get this completely in frame, and well, that's not so easy. As I've mentioned, we do have touchscreen, so that is very, very cool with a 4K plus. I keep saying that because it's 3840, I believe, by 2400 rather than 2160, and that's to accommodate the fact that it's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. So I'm going to get this thing set up. I'm going to test it. You know, no pen is included with it. If you were wondering, I don't have an estimate yet for you on battery life, but as I've stated over and over again, don't sleep on the fact that this thing has virtually everything you could ever want, and it comes in a package that's ready to do business. Something I can't say about the majority of machines on the market. Lenovo seems to be getting this right over and over again, because even machines like their Legion Slim 7i, I could easily recommend for people who want to use it in public, because it's not oozing gaminess. That sounds bizarre, but it doesn't look like an extraterrestrial device. It looks like a traditional, well-made laptop. This, of course, is a ThinkPad, so no one's going to bat an eye at this, but the fact that it's got the 4080, the OLED with touchscreen, and everything else you could possibly want, along with what should be durability beyond, because as many of you know, the ThinkPads still are tested to military spec most of the time. So this really has a lot going for it. And then if I go ahead and click on the display adapter, you can see that RTX 4080 right there. And don't forget, this also has the ability to fold flat 180 degrees, which is also really nice. But right now it is actually too bright for you to even see what I'm trying to show you. And I don't know where this peaks at brightness, but you can bet we are going to find out. And there you can see we have an RTX 4080. So again, really like this. It's incredible how lightweight it is. For someone like me recovering from surgery, this is an ideal machine. With that vPro certification, this is going to be welcome in just about every corporation on the planet. And hey, it's a ThinkPad. So Lenovo doing it right. as long as the performance is able to hang. And I'm excited to test it out and, of course, report back to all of you. I think this is going to be a very interesting machine, to say the least. Again, the ThinkPad P1 Gen 6 touchscreen 4K plus OLED, 32 gigs of RAM, Intel Core i7 13th gen processor, and of course that RTX 4080 with 105 watts after the dynamic boost. So a lot to like. We'll find out about battery life, thermals, overall performance for video, photo editing, and of course, even some gaming. It's not all about rendering after all. You've got to have that work-play balance, folks. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.